Beep, 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 beep. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Beep,
How drab, how dull critique can be. It's begging and pleading for apathy. The good, the bad, the in-between. And nothing is everyone's cup of tea. No time to waste, there's things to do. But Jared and Eric are happy too. They'll suffer the worst of films for you. So enter the strangest of banquet rooms.
Hello, and welcome to Banquet at the Flum Dumpster. That was our lovely theme song that you just heard. I have to say, we have been recording these out of order, and I think that this is the first one that we've recorded where I've heard a mostly mixed version of the theme song now, and I just want to say, I really love our theme song.
I do too, yeah.
It's really great. Shout out to Tarquin Alexandra for that magnificent composition. What are we watching?
And for the other ones you're about to see.
And for the other ones, because we have two more. It's amazing. What are we watching today, Eric?
Oh, well. We are both excited around the release of F9, the ninth movie in the ninth movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Oh, right, of course. Because F.
I need to tell you.
Yeah, because you just need to tell me F and then a number, and that's a Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah.
We're very excited for that one.
Very excited, and we decided to. I thought it'd be nice to have one of the many ripoffs that this kind of. I think this Fast and Furious franchise can be described as like a surprising franchise because it wasn't successful at the beginning, but once it really got going, it became one of the biggest things that people everywhere kind of know.
It really has. I've only seen movies 5 through 8 plus Hobbs and Shaw because you instructed me very specifically to to start when The Rock comes in.
Yeah.
They only become worth watching when The Rock comes in. My understanding of the Fast and Furious movies is that the early ones start off as a picture of this street racing subculture, and then they slowly devolve into these really weird movies about car-based superheroes.
Yes, yeah. So the fifth movie is where they change from being really, there's a bit of it in the fourth, but really in the fifth one, they changed from it being about street racing to being about global heists with fast cars, and that's the change. That's a turning point. But what's interesting is this one came out the day before Fast 5.
Oh,
the movie we're about to watch today, 200 M.P.H.
200,
which is of course from the Asylum. The studio that is responsible for just about every movie you hear about where it got released the day before a very obviously popular movie, just so that they'd kind of confuse you into accidentally watching it. But this
The Asylum brought us Sharknado, right?
I think so. No, that was just Sci-Fi Network. No, the Asylum's I think that I don't know if they were the same ones for that. I'd have to check. But they did other ones like The Amazing Bulk when The Incredible Hulk came out.
Oh, I loved that one.
Yeah. So they're responsible for some great ones that we've seen. But yeah, this one I think is going to have.
Okay, I can confirm. I have just Googled it. The Asylum was responsible for Sharknado.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. We love the Asylum. Shout out to the Asylum. Please sponsor our show.
Please send your favorite producer to come on our podcast.
Yeah. And of course, please make a different podcast that comes out just before our podcast. That is just conveniently. I'll leave it up to you what you want to call it, but something involving food, garbage disposal, and movies.
Feast at the recycling bin of television.
Yes, exactly. Something like that. I'll leave it up to you. You're very creative people there.
Feast at the compost pile.
Oh, can we? Is it too late?
Is it too late to change our name?
Oh,
I think it might be too
be.
late. We've already got the song. I was just talking about the theme song.
But yes, this movie came courtesy of a list that I found on drive.com, I believe it was called.
Sorry, you frequent a website called drive.com?
No, but I looked up an article, like I looked up Fast and Furious ripoffs, and this one came up. It was called like The Lost and the Furious. It was something like that, and it's just a list that's fully out there of just the worst ripoffs of Fast and Furious, and in that, this was listed as possibly the worst movie of all time.
Not just the worst Fast and Furious ripoff of all time?
No, not just the worst Fast and Furious ripoff, not even just the worst car movie, just worst movie, period.
That sounds really promising.
It sounds promising. It's a big claim. You hear that often. But I'm excited.
I'm excited now that I've heard that. Now that I know that
my
we're
blood
watching
is
a movie
racing.
called 300 M.P.H. What is it?
200 M.P.H. I can already tell
That's
this will be hard for you.
That's a very memorable name.
Yeah. But no, 200 M.P.H. for other viewers who are in Canada, 320 kilometers per hour.
That's what I'm going to start calling it from now on. 320 kilometers per hour.
Yes, that's the British title. Like all the Brits are like, yes, we don't know what a mile is. Please.
I don't know what a mile is. What's a mile?
Yeah, but I'm excited. I think we gotta get into it.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything left to say. Do we have any expectations?
Fast cars, furious people, shots of like crashes, women's butts. You know, all the stuff that Fast and Furious does right.
I have a sneaking suspicion that we will see exactly all of that.
I hope so.
All right. Well, spoilers follow this musical interlude.
Spoilers both on Cars and about the movie.
Spoilers on Cars?
Don't worry about it.
Is that like spoilers on the Cars movies? Like the Pixar?
The cars there's like a term for a spoiler. It's like a thing that you put on your car. And
wait, is that a car thing?
It's like a car term, yeah.
What is it, like the little doohickey that goes on the back that doesn't do anything but just looks cool?
Yep.
That's called a spoiler.
Spoiler, yeah.
Huh.
Remain on the edge of your seat in a moment. Your hosts will return with the fruits of their suffering. Every last thought that is currently buffering too. The time has arrived, their opinions will now debut.
Vroom, vroom, beep, beep.
Vroom, vroom.
We are back from
Vroom,
200
vroom,
M.P.H.
That is miles per hour, I think.
Yep.
I think.
It is. We're a movie in which I don't think they actually got to 200 miles per hour.
I was just thinking that. Make sure to bring this up. Because they say multiple times throughout the film, you know, when you're street racing, you never want to go at 200 miles per hour. It's suicide. You'll never make it around the corner. It's a bad idea. You're not, and that like they say that like 2 or 3 times in a way that sets that up as like a foreshadowing, as like at the climax of the movie, he's gonna go at 200 miles per hour. Is he gonna make it out? I don't know. But they never go. They never go at 200 miles per hour.
No, he listens. He's like, okay, I better not go at 200 miles per hour. And he does it. And it's, it's the logical thing that you don't expect a movie character to do.
I have to respect this movie for having a logical, reasonable, rational protagonist who listens to advice like that. He wants to get a PhD in what? I don't know. Cars
or something. Yeah, so for those who have not seen this movie, shame on you, first of all.
I mean, that's okay. You can take that position if you want.
The basic plot of it is there's this guy who wants to go to college, and of course, in the States, the college is ridiculously expensive, so he has to resort to street racing to make his money. This isn't really a spoiler, but right near the beginning, his brother's like, I'm gonna win you that, like, some of your tuition money. $80,000. Some of his tuition money. And
the States, though.
And he goes and he, crashes his car and dies, as you do when you're street racing. But it was clearly, this other guy's fault. Casey, bad dude, drug dealer, owns the cops. He says that a lot of times. He just owns the cops.
Not all of the cops, but he owns the cops.
Enough that he owns the cops. And bad dude, he goes after the main character's ex-girlfriend, and there's a whole lot of build-up where they repair and break a few cars, and then they get into another street race, and of course, I won't spoil it, but here I will give like a spoiler warning for the ending of the movie for anybody who's really desperate to watch it.
Anybody who's listening to this half of our podcast is fully prepared for spoilers. If you're not, dear listener, what are you even doing here?
But spoiler alert, he wins the race, but
what?
He doesn't claim the jackpot because instead of finishing the race, he goes back, Cars style, puts his car in reverse for a little bit, and then pulls the guy, Casey, out who crashed, and he's like, I'm gonna save you from this officer who's just like, well, you lost me money, so I'm gonna shoot this guy in the head for some reason.
That you point out the similarity to Cars, and it has just occurred to me that narrative beat was pulled directly from the ending of the first Cars movie, the Disney Pixar Cars.
Yeah.
That did not occur to me.
Oh, I was thinking of that. I was like, the only thing missing was a third racer who, like, just speeds past the finish line. I was like, hey, everyone, look, I won.
No, the only thing missing is him pushing Casey to the finish line to ensure that Casey finishes the race.
Yes. That would have been something.
That would have been something.
But yeah, this movie is nothing if not original. But yeah, let's talk about some of the side characters in this movie, because we already mentioned.
Oh yes, please.
The cop character, but he's not the most interesting. But let's start with him since we already mentioned him. What is this guy's deal?
He's a corrupt cop, presumably owned by Casey, the villain.
Yeah.
And he wanted to place a bet that Casey would win the race that was at the climax of the film. Mm-hmm. And he tells Rick, our main character, our hero, that he has to throw the race, and then when he doesn't, at the climax of the film, the cop just completely out of nowhere just pulls his gun, threatens to shoot Casey, and Rick is like, he doesn't say like, whoa, what the hell are you doing? This escalated quickly.
It
He
also
says,
doesn't point out the obvious thing that, okay, so you've lost your bet here. Why? What do you think you're like? Do you think by shooting him?
What do you think you're going to gain?
Yes.
Here, he also doesn't
like-
point out, hey, wait a minute, it's broad daylight. There are multiple witnesses. Instead of all of that, he says, wait, but bullets leave evidence.
Yeah, if you shoot him, they'll know he was shot by a gun. Oh.
Oh, well then here you go. Take my
You shoot
gun
him.
and shoot him yourself. And if you don't shoot him, I'll shoot you first.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that cop character.
I just love the idea that you would have a police officer who doesn't know that if somebody shoots someone with your gun, it will still get traced back to you.
I think it was a secondary gun. I think it was his corrupt cop gun.
Oh.
Because he did have two guns, because he was able to point one gun at him.
It's true. It is true.
That cop was not the only interesting side character going on here.
No.
I was a big fan of the mom.
Okay, sure.
I was a big fan of how, very early on in the film, the two characters have a very, like, exposition-heavy conversation that's just like, yeah, my mom's a stripper. Yeah, that's rough, buddy.
No, our mom's a stripper.
And that's rough.
As if they needed to be reminded.
Yeah. There was a lot of really heavy exposition in this movie. As a side note, one of my favorite parts was how they would just yell car specs at each other sometimes.
Yeah,
and
I distinctly remember this scene in Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift where somebody reads out the car specs, and I think it was Han, like the one character who they bring in for later movies in the franchise, who is just like, "Oh, cool, you read the brochure," and that seems way more in line with what I imagined.
This car goes from 0 to 60 in like 3 minutes, bro.
No, 3 seconds.
I have 3 minutes. That's probably way more impressive. I wrote down 3 minutes because I was.
Well, they say 3.5.
They scream it so fast that like
They don't say seconds because they assume you know. Because 0 to 60 in 3 minutes is like.
But back to the mom, because he knows that his mom is a sex worker. He knows that his mom works at the same strip club as his ex-girlfriend, which is like,
with this? Yeah.
Okay, paging Dr. Freud, but okay. But there's one scene where he walks into the strip club to go and meet his girlfriend, or to see his ex-girlfriend, to see her, to talk to her, something, and he finds his mom instead, and he is actively surprised by the image of his mom's breasts.
And no, not only actively surprised, he comes and he's like, "Mom, what the hell?"
Yeah, he's like,
as
"Mom,
if it was like,
jeez, Mom, put those away."
And it's like, oh my god, yeah, it's her fault.
Yeah, what were you expecting? How is this not normal for you yet? This movie was a big fan of women.
Oh, very, yes.
Yeah, not in terms of like women's rights or anything. It was a really big fan of women's bodies.
Yes. I do want to emphasize that, like, not only were there a lot of scenes in the strip club, the other side character that's included in the strip club is the manager of the strip club, who is also a pretty great character. When it comes to like just somebody who you're like, I need to like get all of the cliches of this guy is sleazy.
Just like short bearded man with a button-up shirt that is only buttoned up about halfway.
To show all his chest hair. And
going
like
on.
4 necklaces, one of which has like a pendant, like just everything.
And it's weird, I didn't write it down, so I don't remember the exact circumstances of the scene, but this first scene where he's introduced, he's actually really sympathetic, and I was like, oh, they're actually breaking the cliche of the sleazy strip club owner. He's actually being really nice to this one exotic dancer, as he calls them. But then, like, in later scenes, he's back to his sleazy ways. And telling the mom who's grieving the loss of her dead son, I can't have an exotic dancer in my club who's in mourning. She'll curl up in a ball on stage and cry. That was me doing his voice. Did you like that?
No, I got it.
Yeah.
I was transported. But okay, no, we've dodged around enough. We need to talk about the very best side character in this whole movie, the one who stole the show, in my opinion.
Fax machine
with one
guy.
Scene. Fax machine guy.
Fax machine guy.
There's a scene where this other side character who was, as IMDb points out, 3 characters who they were writing like, oh, here are 3 Asian characters, and they were like, nah, that could be 1 Asian character.
This movie also has a race problem, as well as really disliking women.
Yeah, but yeah, it was this character who always has the best dialogue, comes in and has to distract the owner of like this lot full of broken down cars, and the guy just keeps asking about his paperwork, and their whole conversation, which goes on way too long, is I swear I faxed you the paperwork, and the other guy going, I did not get a fax today.
Oh, you're underplaying it. This brilliant actor came on set to shoot his one scene, and he brought his A game. He was like, I've only been cast in a small role, but I'm going to make sure that I am remembered. He was so big. Just like he had such a large energy. I really, really appreciated him.
He also then had an exchange on the phone where somebody was just like, deliberately not understanding the numbers that he was saying, and just his face, like just the acting of his face,
he was trying to be like,
no, it is 3, 2, 1, 4, over and over again.
He rescued this entire movie.
He did.
He was in it for all of 5 minutes, but it was
less.
Truly sublime to watch him.
Yeah. He was magnificent. I want to watch more stuff with him, and soon.
I hope we get. You said that you saw him in. You looked up his IMDb. What did you see him in?
Yeah, so he's in 2012 Ice Age, which is a sequel to a different 2012 movie called Supernova, I think.
But not a sequel to the 2012 movie from 2009.
No. A sequel to the ripoff of the 2012 movie from 2009 that was released the same time as 2012 in 2009.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not possible that the world didn't end in 2012 and we're just in purgatory right now?
I would accept that. However, this movie came out before 2012, so I think it happened earlier. Because if this movie was not part of purgatory, like, I could understand maybe it leading to God being like, we need to end this. I've seen enough. Because, okay, like, going into this, as we said in the introduction, we found this on a website that said, this is, like, possibly the worst movie of all time. And it's a bold claim that you see in a lot of places. I can see how this would be the worst movie that somebody had ever seen.
I don't think it's the worst movie that we've ever seen.
It's not the worst movie that we've ever seen.
I don't even think that this is going to be the worst movie that you, dear listener, will have ever seen.
No, but
I think that...
can imagine there are people who are like fans of cars. And movies about cars that are not the Cars franchise, because I don't know that this is worse than Cars 2.
But no, that you make a good point. If you're really into cars, if you're really into like the Fast and the Furious movies, but if you're specifically in it for the cars, this movie is going to frustrate you to no end. The fact that I didn't notice that like the same car will like change between like 3 separate models throughout the film, but apparently that is a thing that happened.
Yeah, apparently a car that they were using in the movie just got stolen, so they just changed to a different car that was a completely different color. I did notice that.
Well, I assumed that they just painted it a new color in the workshop. But
nope, I noticed that it was like they also added a spoiler to it or something. Like, it was a different looking car in a lot of ways.
But it's the type of thing where, like, to me, as a casual viewer who still does not have even the most basic of driver's licenses, I could not, I didn't know. I couldn't tell the difference. It didn't register for me.
The viewer who thought they were talking about 3 minutes.
Yeah. See, every time they started spitting car specs at each other, my brain just shut off. It didn't make a difference for me, but I can imagine that if you are really into cars, if you are really into those car specs, if you actually understand what they're saying in that technobabble, you would know that none of it makes any sense, and you would know that they're, like, switching between car models, and this entire movie would be a frustrating experience.
Oh, it'd be horrible. Mm-hmm. And also the action sequences are so poorly done. Not only are they just terribly edited, they also have, like, okay, one scene.
Is this the motorcycle scene? This is my favorite. This is my favorite. Can I describe
please,
it? Can I
please.
describe it? Okay. So a woman is on a motorcycle. She's being chased by Casey, the scary bad man. And she's going very fast, very speedy, and then out of nowhere, there's an SUV. The SUV is about to hit her. The SUV hits her. There's a crash sound effect, and you see her, it cuts to her doing like a little bitty somersault out from behind a fully stopped SUV. It is, and there's a crash sound effect, and we're supposed to understand that she has crashed into the SUV, but it's not signified by her being, like, flung or, like, there's no blood. She doesn't even, like, slide across the hood of the SUV. It's just a little bitty somersault into frame.
And I think you can see her start the somersault, like, from a stopped position.
Yeah.
Start the somersault from behind the car.
It is the greatest thing that I have ever seen. And I think,
like, we went back and watched it again.
We did. It was so perfect. And I think that this brings us to the part of the episode where we talk about how this movie, for all its faults, is kind of a little bit fun.
Oh, it's very fun.
It's
like when you also see not only that, but the very clearly, like, just badly CGI car crashes.
Oh my goodness.
During the racing scenes are just so much fun.
If you liked the CGI in Sharknado, you will also like this CGI because it looks exactly the same. I cannot put my finger on what it is about this CGI that looks exactly the same as Sharknado, but it looks exactly the same.
I mean, the cars also look like they could have been taken out of, like, Food Fight. Like, the animation on those cars, it was just like they took like 20 seconds and just like drew a car on like Microsoft Paint and just threw it up there and called it a day. Because I think they knew, like, it is a little fun because I think they knew that once you get about halfway through this movie, you've already you've already accomplished what they wanted.
You've...
They wanted you to watch a movie that you thought was Fast and the Furious, and you've paid for it, and now you can't return it. So at that point, they just kind of had fun with it, and we had fun with it.
We did. This was fun. This was a fun one.
I liked it.
We watch a lot of just, like, completely soul-crushing, unwatchable trash, and this was all of those things.
Yeah.
But it was soul-crushing trash in a fun way, and I think that like this would make for, like, if you want to have, like, a bad movie night with your friends, this is a good choice. This is a solid. It's not like a perfect so bad it's good object, but it's pretty well up there.
I could recommend it for sure.
Yeah. This was I had a lot of fun. You had a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure our dear listener has had a lot of fun listening to us talk about the movie so that they don't have to watch it. But if you want to watch it, it
is fully on YouTube.
It is also fully on YouTube.
200 M.P.H from 2011. Go watch it, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
With some drinks and friends.
And probably lots of drinks.
And lots of friends.
And lots of friends. Don't watch this alone.
No.
So you'll just make yourself sad.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, what have we learned today?
What have we learned today? That if you go around a corner at 200 miles per hour, you may
will
crash.
Die.
Or, as they often were also saying, you might go flying? Like, take off?
Yeah.
Literally leave the ground?
Did they mean that literally? Did they mean that
said
not?
Literally.
They said literally multiple times.
That's what we've learned today.
That's what we learned today.
I don't plan on driving that fast.
I
ever.
don't plan on driving ever because cars are giant metal death machines, and I don't trust myself behind the wheel of one.
Fair.
So that was 200 M.P.H. I can't even remember the number. I have been Jared Aronoff. You can find me on Twitter at Jared Aronoff if you feel remotely compelled to do so.
I have been Eritish. You can find me going at a very reasonable 100 kilometers an hour on highways anywhere in Ontario.
Our theme song was composed and performed by the one and only Tarquin Alexandra. You can find her on Twitter at Tarquin Alexandra. And you can stream her newest EP, A Tyrant's Demise, on Spotify, Apple, or any other music platform of your choice. We also just launched a Patreon page, patreon.com/flumdumpster. You can go check that out, see if you want to support us. We would love if you did. But, as for the motion picture that we watched today... yeah. Oh, what a movie. 200...
Anyways, I hope you drive.
I hope they boat. I don't know why you want them to drive. They'll just go flying. At least a boat stays firmly in the water. I hope you boat. I hope you boat, dear listener. I hope you boat.
If the concept were to exist that I'm to explain, which it doesn't, in hypothetical terms, every form of art has a bucket, a container to categorize the format and style, the greats and the rotten. The podcast that you've just consumed did the work for you by scraping the bottom.